Marco stood outside as I approached the bar, leaning carelessly against the brick wall as if he owned the place. He had his cell phone in one hand, and his eyes scanned the crowd without haste. A few women walked by, slowing their step to glance in his direction. Typical. I smirked, stepping closer. He didn't notice me at first, too busy with whatever was on his screen, probably some meme from his gym buddies. He complained about them, but he was clearly enjoying the attention as much as I was. When I tapped him on the shoulder, he turned around, surprised at first, then grinned. "Julia," he said, his voice warm and familiar, and his eyes slid over me. I felt a surge of satisfaction. "Marco," I reply. He slipped his phone into his pocket and stood up straight, towering over me as he always did. I didn't mind. I liked the size difference. "It's been a while," he said, pretending that months of teasing messages weren't contributing to the moment. He knew he was the reason I'd ended other relationships, but I'd never admit it. Men like Marco get too comfortable with being given too much. "Oh, shit," I joke, crossing my arms. "How's life in Europe treating you?" He shrugged, eyes glittering. "Learned a few things." I raised an eyebrow. "Are you going to show me those bedroom tricks?" He chuckled, softly but knowingly. I wasn't kidding, not really. I'd been planning this for months, envisioning every possible scenario. None of them involved small talk. So, are we going to stand here all night, or are we going to get the drinks we were promised? I nudged him toward the bar. Inside, the noise of the crowd carried to us, but I didn't care. I could only focus on him, on how close we were, and how much I wanted to be even closer. I ordered a whiskey sour. He ordered a beer. Classic Marco's, plain and simple. We found a booth, and I sat close enough that our legs touched. His warmth made me shiver. "So," he said, leaning back and looking into my eyes, "are we going to keep catching up? Or—" I tilted my head, letting my hair spread across my shoulders in a way I knew he liked. "What, you don't want to hear about my summer?" Something resembling jealousy flashed across his face. I'd been busy while he was gone, but he didn't want details. "No, I've heard enough," he said, leaning closer, and his knee touched mine. "We both know why we're here." "Good," I muttered, taking a sip of my drink. The tension between us was intense, almost unbearable. I wasn't going to let this moment pass. I drained my glass, set it back down with a sharp clink, and met his gaze. "Ready to go?" He nodded, his eyes burning with the same desire I had. We walked out of the bar, and the cool night air did nothing to cool the heat between us. When we finally reached his house, we barely made it to his bedroom before things went wild. His hands were on me, rough and insistent, just as I had envisioned for months. But as things heated up, something wasn't right. Marco moved with practiced ease, as if he'd done it 1,000 times before. Everything was too controlled, too routine. I wanted chaos. I wanted to knock him out of that rhythm, turn this night into something unforgettable. I leaned over and whispered something outrageous in his ear. His body tensed with surprise. "What?" he asked, his voice rough. I smirked, running my fingers down his chest. "Call your neighbors." He hesitated, but I could see the wheels turning in his head. Finally, he called out, "Guys, come here." The door opened, and Luca, Matteo, and Enzo walked into the room, their facial expressions changing from confusion to something darker. They looked at me like I was a prize, and I felt a surge of energy. "All of you," I said, my voice low and commanding. "I'm here. Use me." And just like that, the night turned into the chaos I craved.